this actually might be a bit controversial. Did we roll out that tape about the disclaimer about, body shaming and whatnot? What do you mean we got rid of it? Oh, what am I paying you for then? Long ago, when television was still a thing, cooking shows were all the rage. You had the Julia Childs, and the Nigellas, and the Rick Steins, the Ina Gartens, all vastly different people from various walks of life who had one thing that joined them. A love for food.
Excuse me, I'm gonna bite this.
And now we have... Raise your hand if you enjoy watching people enjoying themselves. Not like that, you dirty. Think Nigella Lawson as she relishes her marvelous creations, don't sue me Cadbury. Or Rick Stein, my father's favorite, enjoying his food. Now, raise your hand if you like watching people being miserable and doing things they hate. Didn't think so. So humor me this then. Why do certain people, Meghan Markle, insist on making a living doing things they clearly don't enjoy doing? Say, cooking or even eating, for instance. And then proceed to get a shocked Pikachu face when their show falls flat on its face.
And so if you know your audience, you know your demographic, well, they love the show.
And yes, while we can blame her problematic persona and her utter lack of talent or charisma, there is something else, in my humble opinion, as a viewer of such shows since childhood, that was severely lacking, which could have made up for her many shortcomings. But what? Is it 1, a hairnet, 2, a soul, 3, an appetite, or 4, all of the above? If you have answered any of these options, you, my friend, have won. Seriously though, every time there was any cooking involved or, whatever little choppity chop chop action was going on, she clenched her jaw and glared her way through it. I mean, seriously, who needs a kettle in the kitchen when you've got a Meghan Markle? And then there was the eating, or the lack of it, I should say. How can she expect to have a successful cooking / hostessing or whatever it is kind of show and barely cook a thing? I mean, crackers and salads barely cut it. And then barely eat a morsel. And how can you expect to have a successful cooking / hostessing or whatever you want to call it show if every time she did happen to taste something, she looked like she wanted to spit it out? Based on that alone, without all of her other problems, the show, which was focused on food, was doomed to fail. I mean, look, don't take it from me, the proof is in the pudding. The only problem is, Meghan Markle doesn't seem to want to eat any of it. There is a famous saying that kept popping up into my head as I endured the torture fest that was with Hair in Your Food, Meghan. Never trust a skinny cook. Meaning, if a cook is skinny, then clearly their food just isn't good enough to eat. Or you're on Ozempic and you've lost your appetite. Speaking of not eating the food you're cooking, I find it really interesting that Meghan referenced Giada de Laurentiis in her show because as a child, yes, even the ruler of the underworld was once a bebe. I couldn't stand Giada. Anytime she was on TV, I would give her a few seconds, maybe a few minutes, before I swiftly... I couldn't put my finger on it at the time, by the way. I just knew that I wasn't buying what she was selling. It's probably just me, though. I mean, what's there not to like? She has stellar food handling practices.
Okay, my hands are really clean, so now, can you just shave the chocolate on top for me, please?
And apparently, she spits out her food on set to stay thin. That is, when her guests aren't doing it for her.
It's a little soft.
Now look, this isn't a skinny bashing video. I didn't invent the saying after all. All I'm saying is that the cooks or the chefs who have made an entire career over their love for food, calorie-dense, rich, decadent food, and yet clearly visibly restrict their diet behind the scenes without being open about it, tend to come across as,
I am also a foodie.
disingenuous. If their whole brand was being health conscious and being a skinny cook a la Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop, then that's an entirely different story. One that I am not particularly interested in, because if I wanted to watch someone being health conscious in the kitchen, I'd install a mirror. All I'm asking for is some honesty. As Harry, who recently quoted his wife, said, stick to the truth. But all of that lying and performative BS is, quite frankly, boring. It's old. It's stale, like the food that Meghan and Giada specialize in serving. You know who is fun to watch in the kitchen though? Nigella Lawson. When I was growing up in the 2000s and 2010s even, in an era where skinny ruled supreme, Nigella Lawson, in all her voluptuous glory, was akin to a goddess to me. And based on the longevity and success of her career, I'd confidently say that I wasn't the only one to think so. When I think of Nigella, one word pops into my mind immediately: enthusiasm. The type of food is also a reflection of a person's enthusiasm. On the one hand, you've got the decadent recipes of Julia Childs and Nigella Lawson, and then you've got the Meghan Markles of the world who expect to be on par with these people, or at least be taken seriously in the realm of cooking and hostessing by making crackers.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's not to say that all shows have to have decadent and complex recipes to be worthy of our eyeballs. Far from it. Nigella made a name for herself by sharing relatively quick and easy fixes. But quick and easy doesn't have to mean boring or borderline ridiculous.
That's the gayest I've seen in a long time.
For example, in one episode of Nigella's show that I was sucked into watching like a vortex when I was only meant to be gathering clips for B-roll, Nigella made what she called chocolate croissants, which I will not be offending my new home by referring to these as croissants, because they are not. And so we shall be referring to them as what they really are, which are chocolate pastries. Step 1. Tie back your hair. Nobody likes to be surprised with wiry, long biological matter in the food, after all. Step 2. Pull out store-purchased puff pastry and cut into 8 squares. Step 3. Fill the square with a chocolate of your choice. Nigella uses regular chocolate, but in this Italian household, as my mother has always done, I shall be using chocolate hazelnut spread. The obligatory spoon lick, of course. Step 4. Place the pastries into a preheated oven to 220 degrees Celsius and bake for around 20 minutes or until golden. Nigella put on an egg wash before putting them in the oven, but I despise an egg wash on my pastries, so I skipped that part, and instead I chose to add a sprinkle of icing sugar at the end. Et voila! In under an hour, and with minimal work or prep, you have yourselves a fresh, decadent, and oozing chocolate treat. Now, despite ruling over hell itself, I'm not quite fond of burning my mouth, so we're gonna leave them off to the side to cool down while I carry on blithering for the next few minutes. There is no shame in picking simple, quick recipes, if you want to call this a recipe, because it was really too simple. But for someone as lazy as I am in the kitchen, that spells gold. Quick and easy, but equally decadent and enjoyable. And despite referring to her as a golden goddess, Nigella is far from perfect. Her hair is also down, although to her credit, it is much shorter than Meghan's and less likely to be dangling in your food literally as you're preparing it. Everything is staged, but she still manages to be a compelling presence who commands your attention. That genuine excitement, that enthusiasm for food, for preparing it, for coming up with recipes, for eating it, for serving it, constantly shines through. And speaking of which, I believe it is now time to finally try our little delicacy. All right, moment of truth. I'm not gonna lie, the Nutella's doing all the heavy lifting. I have to call Zach. He needs to try this. Yeah. Try it. Can you put it all in one mouth? Or is it too much?
Why? Do we have to have a real lunch?
Oh yeah, let's have the rest of them.
Yeah.
Lunch is served. No, seriously, I want to eat the rest of them. Let's go.